And welcome back to the Nordic Championship here at the Monster Energy DreamHack Studios. I'm Hitbrain, he's Orcs. We're getting ready to kick off for our second game of the day. It's going to be Hybrid taking on Hillerød. What are we making of these two teams? They're very close in the standings, both tied with a lot of other teams here. So what are we making coming into this game?
I think Hybrid have looked good when they can sort of play on the back of Priskanet, having that priority mid lane and being a brick wall. He was great on the Ziggs. Usually they like to lean on Kakan, being that sort of weak side player who can excel on that, but there's been some issues. There's been times where Priskanet has been pushed off the likes of the Ziggs, been put in matchups that aren't as favorable. There's been times where Kakan has looked a little bit messy. I think there's a lot of potential here. I think their scoreline doesn't reflect it, the fact that they're 2-4 at the moment, so hopefully seeing a chance for them to bounce back. Hillerød on the other side, they've looked really good. Last week they got a clean 2-0, which is their first off this season so far. It was up against Nordic and Orlando, who both of which haven't been performing the best so far, but it was still a good step for them to make. I think Flipper looked particularly solid playing the Skarner, and I think Sloth and Mokox showed that when they play as backline carries, I think the big thing is we characterize Sloth as being a very aggressive sort of melee carry player, but he showed that playing the Corki, he can be a menace. He can be a backline threat, and then Mokox, he fits that role pretty well as on top of that.
All right, well, we're into picks and bans. The Talia, the Jarvan being taken away. So both of these teams currently just hovering around these jungle picks, as the Skarner also going to be removed. So for the moment, Yike and Flipper, they are getting targeted hard right now.
Yeah, and it makes sense. I think both these junglers had some solid performances so far. Syndra being denied away from Priskanet. Again, you give priority to Priskanet and he can be an absolute monster. Give him a favorable matchup as well. It can be hard to deal with. It's interesting to see which side of Sloth will we see. Will we see the Yasuo player who can sort of pop off in these sort of later game situations, or even threaten the laning phase? Or will you see that more, I'm just going to scale up, I'm going to play the Corki? That's the thing I'm sort of looking towards. You're so banned away, so it kind of suggests that it might be going the other direction, but he does have other picks that he can bring out in this situation. Phelios then taken off the card. So still, the Soraka open, the Sona open. The Soraka seems to me like a pick that Priskanet could play and be pretty powerful on, but for now they're going to take the Ornn. Big denial from Lockerdon. That's a pick that he would heavily prioritize himself and be comfortable in the matchup. And again, it plays into Hybrid, wanting to put Kakan on this weak side and be a brick wall that absorbs pressure and provides with the team later on. But critical thing to note, this could still go in the mid lane. This could still be a pick for Priskanet to be a brick wall, to be impassable and provide that constant priority. So we'll just have to see, and especially if Sloth goes a melee champion.
Oh, there it is.
He's going to struggle, but yeah, there's a Soraka.
So flex pick, and you know the term flex here is almost a trigger word at this point because we use it so much. But that is kind of the state of the game at the moment. Is everything's very flexible. This Ornn could go mid. This Soraka we saw in the UKLC get taken bot lane. It's capable of going mid. We've seen it here in the Nordic Championship go mid and top as well. So some serious flexibility here. The MF gets locked in. Hillerød not really showing their hand here. You do expect the Soraka to go top, but there is still potential to move it around. And now, Hybrid, what do they want to pick up? What are their options? Looking like with the Aphelios band, with the nerfs to Senera on 10-3, they're going back to Old Faithful on the Varus.
Would make some sense. Also provides like grievous wounds in his kit, so you don't have to instantly itemize that to sort of deal with the opponent. Question is going to be, what do they pick up here? I feel like jungler would be the one I want to go towards. I like Braum with Varus, but my concern here is that you're blinding that. The Soraka obviously is a flex pick. It means you can potentially give a really rough matchup over to Hillerød. For Hillerød,
Rakan?
I feel like Rakan works, but I feel like you could also pick something ranged that could potentially pressure it more. The engage potential pre-6 is pretty low, and you can completely take over the lane by that point, and then you have the Wish to assist you as well. You could even just take the jungler here, leave the support pick till later. There's no priority. Actually, they're going to go towards the Cassiopeia. So locking that in likely for Sloth, and essentially meaning they have something that if they put the Ornn in the mid lane, something that can scale up against that, farm pretty effectively, and potentially be a carry that can kill the Ornn in the later stages, because not many champions have the DPS to cut through him. Do you see the Ziggs now get banned away from Priskanet? That's a big thing, because Ziggs' favorable matchup in a Cassiopeia, just because of the fact you outrange her, you outshove her, has those advantages. Have to see what Hybrid look to target. Again, they can target the supports, but I feel like now you know it's the Braum Varus, there's a huge amount of flexibility for what Hillerød can do. The Leona is the standard, but I don't think you need to lean towards that. I think you have a lot of options available to you. Even if you do want to go and engage support, there are still options on the table. The Thresh, the Rakan, good into the Braum. Nautilus is still open. I feel like you're finally leaving the support to later, and the question is going to be, what will Priskanet play into this Cassiopeia? Now that these have been taken off the table, Orianna is the one that you can sort of suggest as the standard, the safe blind, does fine into it, would function well with Hybrid's composition. We'll just have to see how it pans out.
Well, running this clock down here for Hybrid. They're looking to round out their comp. Probably looking for another support ban here. 5 seconds to go. They're going to take away the Zac, so they're actually looking into Flipper. We did see him play that last week as well.
I mean, you say that. I've seen a lot of Zac top. I've seen a lot of Zac support. It's actually good into Braum, and the reason being, Braum can't interrupt you when you're dashing through the air, unlike, say, a Thresh can. And then you can obviously, you can't block anything the Zac does. Braum likes to stack on top of his AD carry, and you can flip them together. But ultimately, it is just going to be the Rakan that comes out, still providing that engage potential, but also a favorable matchup into Braum. That's why I was a little bit concerned about this. I guess the situation was Axis didn't want to give up the Braum before the second rotation where it could get banned, but ultimately just hand this one over. But a lot of focus on these mid lane bans has left this Sejuani in the clear. And it means there's a huge front line for Hybrid. This great CC from these double stun passives. Right now, they just need a solid like mid laner, backliner who can facilitate the rest of the team. They could alternatively take some source of die, but I don't feel like that's Priskanet's play style. Just gotta see. I think Orianna fits the bill. We talked about it before. It's fine in this matchup. And I think it facilitates everything Hybrid want to do. This is very much a front-to-back team composition. You have huge front lines with CC, and you have great backline AD carries, which are essentially backline carries, which are essentially going to pump out a lot of damage if they aren't threatened. The question is going to be, where do Hillerød go in response to this? They need a jungler in this situation. But it's pretty hard to see what would fit here other than the Trundle. I think the Trundle functions well as stealing away the stats from that front line. Essentially, it means if Kakan or Yike overextend, you can drain away the resistances and essentially make them a vulnerable target.
Especially when you layer that on top of like a miasma as well. So yeah, you've got your resistances like taken away, and then suddenly you've either been silenced from Rockadon or you've got the miasma. It means you can't get away, and then you will just get blown up nice and quick. Now, team comp's locked in. Let's talk about win conditions. You've already said that, you know, Hybrid, they're looking to fight front to back. They want a 5v5 year on fair terms. What are Hillerød's comps? What are they looking to do with it?
Hillerød want to do the same, but better. Essentially, both of these teams have these massive backline threats. They have a ton of support facilitated, and they have a huge ability just to pump out damage if they're left to their own devices. I think the critical thing is going to come down to is how the team fights play out. Hybrid have a lot more CC and engage potential available to them with the likes of the Ornn, with the Sejuani as well. Hillerød have a lot more support for their carries. You know, Cassiopeia will outscale the Orianna at a point in terms of cutting through frontline. And then on top of that, the Misfortune will outscale the Varus after a point. So it feels like if you keep those carries alive, they will just become monsters, and tanks do eventually fall off. When it gets extremely late into the game, carries just output so much more damage. When, you know, a Cassiopeia is level 18, she's just going to be super valuable, and when she has all her items, she's full build, she has the Void Staff, the Rabadons, there's not much you can do to itemize against that. So I feel like for Hybrid, you sort of want to be starting these fights, setting them up for yourselves, threatening these squishier members, especially when you look at the composition. No one on their front line is that tanky. Trundle is only tanky because he can steal away stats. But if you CC chain him, he will go down.
Yeah.
I feel like on the side of Hybrid, however, it's very hard to sort of burn through one of these tanks unless you can find an avenue with that ultimate from Trundle. But it's unlikely that Hybrid's tanks are just going to sit there and let that happen.
Yeah, you doubt that, but we'll have to see how this game's going to go. Hybrid and Hillerød take to the Rift for game number 2 of week 4. Well, looks like for the first time in a while, we have a good on 5v5 front-to-back team fight comps drafted on both sides. However, it is a Soraka. And team fighting against her, with her, can be interesting. You have the ability just to kind of shut a fight down by just pressing R.
Yeah, I'd like to see Grievous Wounds picked up from Hybrid. There's a lot of healing across the board, not just from the Soraka. You obviously have the passive from Flipper and the ult as well. Cassiopeia has a lot of sustain, especially with that Conqueror. typically you see the third item Bloodthirster from Misfortunes at the moment, and then you also have the healing from Rakan. So a lot of sustain, and for that reason, I feel like in the drawn-out fights, Hillerød will come out ahead. If you can extend them, if you can sustain up from that damage on the back of the Soraka, I feel like you'll come out ahead, whereas Hybrid, you want to use those big impact ultimates. You want to make use of the Orn Horn, the Sejuani ult, the Shockwave. You want to have those big impact ults and pick out key members of the side of Hillerød.
Well, everything else has started up here. We got junglers on the same side of the map. Blue for Yike, red for Flipper. So I don't really expect any action to break out in this top side of the map, as it's a Soraka and it's an Orn. Obviously, Soraka a bit squishier earlier, but even so, you just get so much healing from that Starfall that it's just really hard.
Orn just really doesn't do a ton to range champions unless you can sort of do your full combo rotation, which is hard to do when Soraka is usually on such high HP consistently because of the healing. So it's likely going to be pretty slow. And honestly, this entire game is likely going to be pretty slow paced. There's not a ton that's going to go on in the early levels. Flipper might try and find some avenues to be aggressive. Yike might try and find some skirmishes if Axis can meet up. But there's a lot of scaling champions at play here. So I feel like now the team is massively pressured to go, we need to start something now, compared to, you know, what we saw last game with Atlanta, where we were talking about that.
Does mean the junglers get a bit of AFK farming time. If you're Yike, you're probably quite happy with that. You want to be able to get your ult as quick as possible. Obviously, Sejuani's still pretty good at kind of setting up for ganks, but the only gank that like you get assistance with stacking that permafrost is Kakan. And again, it's Soraka versus Orn. You're not really going to find too much here. So
I like this, though, coming out from Hillerød. They've actually gone for a two-man roam up to mid.
That's actually a four-man roam. They're bringing everybody up. Oh, no, it's just a two-man. Briscanet gonna have to flash away, and then flashes forward, gets himself the kill with the Ignite. Good tower juggle there coming down from Hillerød. Briscanet will fall.
Yeah, good rotation. And I love to see junglers and supports pairing up to look for ganks, because that would not have resulted in a kill if it was just Flipper. May not have even resulted in a flash, because Briscanet may have not felt threatened. So it's a good move coming out. You use the priority achieved in bot lane. And this was the issue with the Braum, is that it can't really go toe-to-toe with the Rakan. It can't knock him down.
They're looking to go in again there.
I think just trying to shove the wave in. So Sloth can go for a recall. He's now up in farm. He's going to be able to back off, potentially just pick up that tier in a pretty solid spot so far. So plays like that, really effective. Junglers and supports pairing up is a powerful one, but right now we're seeing Lockerdon potentially punish the top lane.
Yeah, Lockerdon has to flash away, trying to dodge out as the Winter's Wrath gets used. The teleport's coming down, and that is going to be Sloth, making sure Lockerdon doesn't go down. Teleport used by Sloth into the top side means he doesn't have it. Briscanet was actually looking to try to hold the wave here anyway, as Merbs trying to jump onto Ermin, seeing if they can get some stacks up, but Ermin just able to make his way out. It is a Rakan. He's so slippery.
Absolutely is, but they are threatening pretty heavily in this situation. Blackhawk's low on mana is the big thing, and the wave pushing against him. Not really in a comfortable position to trade right now. I would like to potentially see, so the wave's going to push into Hillerød. Oh, Emin gone pretty aggressive there.
Yeah, but this is why we talk about the Rakan matchup versus Braum. Because Braum walks up, Winter's Blight's auto-attacks, and Rakan's already away on his support. Well, Briscanet and Sloth having a bit of a fight, but Briscanet obviously will win the initial trade and then kind of hung around and took a little bit too much damage. So Sloth was able to kind of turn that bit better back in his favor.
Corrupt and pushing as well on the side of Sloth means he does sustain out pretty well in these sort of situations. I think for me, I'd like to see, so priority was achieved by Hybrid. They pushed a wave in, they went for the reset. You can now see Hillerød resetting. This gives an avenue a Hybrid usually could take the dragon, but unfortunately, Yike's actually on a reset, so that's not possible. I would like to see Ermin walk mid on the way back from base. And they potentially can look to punish Briscanet again. With no flash, the pillar can essentially just guarantee a kill in this situation, but Flipper's quite low on mana, so yeah, I don't think this is essentially going to amount to anything. I think the vision control's been pretty solid as well. You can see those double control wards blocking that same path that Flipper and Ermin took, and denying that potential regank that could come out while Priskanet is flashless. Because that's a big thing. When a summoner's burn, you want to provide that avenue of protection until it's up and available again. Now, a big thing to note is that 6 available for Lockdown, and Kakan just used his TP. So that means in terms of the map pressure, Hillerød are at an advantage in terms of globals, because in terms top laners assisting the rest of the team, Lockdown can, Kakan can't. He does not have the Ignite though, thanks to Spellbook, so Lockdown has to be a bit careful and respect that all-in pressure. Wave's built a bot, and this is a situation where Yike can go straight for that dragon if he wants to, because as soon as this wave pushes in, Mirbs and Axes can move over. They can look to start that one up and start stacking up. When teams both scales in sort of pretty similarly, picking up dragons early can be a massive advantage, especially if you can translate that into a soul later on.
And just deny you from finding yourself scrapping a bad time just because you don't want to give over soul. So nice start there for Hillerød. Priskanet also had pressure and wave in lane. And I mean, does need to be a little careful. Taking some poke here from Merbs, and Mox doesn't actually have the R, but Ask is able to use the stand beside me to get to Yike. And looks like that's going to be a Cloud Drake for Hybrid. Now Priskanet has got that flash, shockwave, Call of the Forge God. It's going to get used. Flipper dodges away. They're looking to chase in here, get the knock up with the Wish to follow. Permafrost is going to be used, and the Wish, it was big, but it wasn't big enough. Priskanet finds himself a kill.
That seemed really forced there. There was an avenue where you could go aggressive when your bot lane sort of moved up to the dragon, but you waited way too long, and your bot lane already moved away. So, not sure what that really was from Flipper. I feel like that was him thinking Priskanet's flash is about to come up. I'm going to try and do something. But ultimately, he was a bit questionable. And Kakan had made the move down. He'd walked down from top lane after finding priority, so...
And we just also saw Merbs heal bot lane. Just taking a fight versus Mox while his support is in the mid lane. And actually will cost him a summoner spell.
Puts him on the back foot. And it's difficult, especially when level 6 is hit by Ermin and Mokox. There's a lot of threat of all in between these two. Especially if you CC the Braum with the quickness and then the knock up to follow up, you can channel the bullet time for long enough so that a lot of the damage gets through before it's blocked.
Well, this wave will get crashed in here, so it looks like a bit equalized that some of this farm. Flipper has found out Yike, but Yike is able to pick up the crab.
Which is important because priority is in favor of Hillerød. So Mokox and Ermin are recalling. They should head towards the top side. Securing that skull essentially means that you have an element of vision, because Merbs and Axes are going to be late to the play. You can see that already. The Herald's been started up. I think that Merbs and Axes are going to be too late for this. Yeah, it's going down pretty fast already. So this is a power priority in the bot lane. Mokox and Ermin had lane control. They can get there first. It means Flipper feels confident to start it up, knowing he's going to have the full support. And actually in this situation, you could just go straight back down bot lane if you wanted to, but first Mokox's going to push the wave in. They may just look to pressure this top lane tower. You can see that Merbs and Axis have actually already banked on then swapping back. They've already sort of put their 80 carry down in the bot lane, which means if Hillerød do apply a lot of pressure on the top side, Hybrid are at a massive numbers disadvantage.
Yeah. Teleport is available to Priskanet. Sloth will be getting his up fairly shortly as well. Axis, recognizing that, will force the flash from Sloth as the shockwave is traded up. They look for the play and they didn't get anything but the flash. Merbs running with the Executioner's Calling now to deal with this, the sustain available to the enemy team. But now you can see Kakan's trying to deal with three members topside as the Rift Herald has been summoned. Call of the Forge God will get used here. Kakan actually can get some fair amount of damage onto Flipper. Just flashes forward trying to get the kill, but
not sure about that one.
That was so overeager. There's a Wish available, and that should just be first turret blood.
Yeah, that was a little ambitious coming out. The healing was still coming in from the ult of Flipper. He had the extra resistances he'd stolen from the Ornn. Kakani saw his glory moment and ends up paying massively because you give over a kill and the tower still goes down. And you can see the pings coming out in return. Hybrid are trying to answer in a tower on the bot side, but ultimately they've lost this race. Dragon's still not up for a minute 20. Hillerød don't even need to be boss side right now.
Sloth is just running Priskanet down here. So he's got Lockenden to heal up, and Yike jumps in, throws out the ultimate. They're going to put that damage down. The Petrifying Gaze is enough, and now Lockenden, he's getting stacked up onto. They're going to use everything and find themselves a return kill. 2 turrets traded out in the mid lane, in the top side, for 2 kills in the mid lane, and Merbs quite happily just farming up these plates. Should be able to hit that one up, so...
Yeah, it was a great stopwatch from Yike. He could have got CC'd in the tower then, but ultimately, you got to ask, what are Sloth and Lockenden doing? You know that your team is investing heavy resources topside to try and find control.
Oh, they're looking for something here. It'd be a little risky to make that play free versus...
All you had to do in mid lane was just not die. Just not give up too much, clear out the wave, back off. But instead, they overcommit. It allows Hybrid a route back into the game. Because you ask yourself, in this situation, where Hillerød get 2 towers for 0...
Priskanet trying to get away with a shockwave here. Flipper should just run him down. Priskanet completely overstaying. Actually, maybe Flipper's the one overstaying. Nope. Priskanet, you turned around, you have to flash, you live. But that was so that was just a comedy of errors mid lane.
Just over-aggressive from Flipper. There was no way they should realistically go for that fight, but ultimately, Mokox comes in with the reinforcements and is able to dissuade them from going any further and force the flash from Priskanet is a critical thing. TP coming in means he's not going to be off the map for long, and Yike, he's looking.
Like, Yike doesn't have the Crystal Prison, though, so...
But now they're in position for this objective. You can see the only advantage Hillerød have right now is that Cassiopeia is going to move first from the bot lane. Faris isn't here, so if Hillerød want to start a fight, this is the only window they have right now.
Ermin just got chunked as well before that even started. Sloth is seeing if he can find some kind of like assassination off onto Merbs, as Merb wants to rotate, but Merbs reading something is a miss here.
He knows he doesn't need to move up. His team is so bulky, so strong, this skirmishing power of this front line. And even if a fight does start, it takes so long for anyone in Hybrid to die out of, you know, the Ornn or the Sejuani. It buys enough time for him to get into position. Sloth's still looking, though. He could potentially... Oh, this is it.
That's the Petrifying Gaze. That's the combo. Uses himself everything. The flash comes out by Merbs and the heal.
But that's enough. That's enough for you to want to fight the dragon, the fact that he's low.
He actually looked to turn this back around here. Lockenden's getting jumped onto. Remember, there's a shockwave and execution is cooling available. Mind. Easy turnaround.
Yeah, never mind that situation. I was thinking, Hillerød, they find a huge chunk on the Merbs, both their summoners down. This is where you look for the dragon, but just a misposition from Lockenden. And this is the engaged power of Hybrid. This is the agency in their composition. They're the ones who can dictate the fights when they start. They're the ones who have the ults. They can just press buttons and say, we go. And working pretty effectively for them so far.
Merbs quite happy just farming away in this lane. Not going to be able to get this last plate as the tower has lost its plating. But will be able to pick himself up a turret here. The first one for his team. And that's pretty much just solo gold for Merbs. So if we do a little toggle on the gold, we should see fair amount of gold sitting in the pocket of Merbs. Thank you very much. He's only got 900 at the moment, closing on 1,000.
And the big thing is this mid lane discrepancy between the Orianna and the Cassiopeia. Obviously, when it goes super late, the Cassiopeia is very strong, gets essentially an extra item over other champions. And obviously, the DPS is insane. But for now, Priskanet hugely ahead, 4-1. And that shockwave is so threatening. Because like I said, there's no one on Hillerød who can really tank that up other than Flipper. And that's only if he's stolen stats from, say, Kakan or Yike. Makes it very difficult to play around. Because if you're not finding sort of consistent damage from your Cassiopeia while kiting away, you're really hard-pressed to come out ahead in these fights. I think Hillerød just needs some more time. Despite the fact that even in gold, I think right now they're going to struggle to find anything unless they have a numbers advantage.
Yeah, Merb 700 gold off that Blade of the Ruined King. So he's going to be quite happy soon, and that should get upgraded by Khan, who is a ways away from starting to hand out the ornaments. Still, but actually wants to use the Call of the Forge God here, just to clear out the wave. Doesn't have any help with him, but now it looks like I'm looking to push up this mid lane. So that bullet time's just a little risky, and there is a potential flank that is available to come down here. They don't have the full wards, don't know where everybody is, the full story. So Hybrid don't want to overcommit and try and dive someone and get caught out. They're just going to step away. But like you said, Orcs, the gold is dead even. We've got a bit of a split on the map coming out so far. Is Hillerød actually looking for a reset?
You can see on the top side of the map, Herald spawned again, and Hybrid are in position for that one. They could potentially just start this one up. They have the TP available for Kakan. Stotts isn't, and he's on the bot side. There isn't really a way Hillerød contest this. So they should be able to take that one. This could be enough to crack that mid lane tower. Really important in terms of early pressure. Essentially dictates the control on the mid side, but actually a quick reaction coming in from Hillerød. They may contest this one.
Yeah, they want to see if they can. Kakan has that teleport, but that is the Herald already picked up. Merbs throws out the chains of corruption, and Flipper gets jumped onto. All the ultimates are being used, but that's a massive bullet time into a quickness. That's going to be a good shockwave turnaround, though, but 3 kills have already been picked up. Hybrid tried to engage without their Ornn, and they get punished heavily by the wombo combo available to Hillerød.
I'm not sure what the plan was there. Why did Kakan not opt to TP in? Why did the fight even start? You already got the Herald just get out. And more importantly, 3 members standing in a bullet time. How else did you expect that to go? Hillerød pull the trigger and they get a favorable fight in this situation. The Soraka heals as well. Even when that shockwave came in, essentially just stopped any potential of a 1 fight coming out from the side of Hybrid. 3k gold lead now for Hillerød. They just exploded that in that fight.
Yeah, just really, really greedy play there from Hybrid.
They didn't need a fight. They had the Herald to say, cool, we got the Herald, back off. They even used to change the corruption. They could have disengaged on the back of that, but they got greedy, I think is the big thing. Ornn didn't have his ult, didn't want to TP in as a result, and cost them pretty heavily. They will get this mid tower, but still pretty far behind. Lockeden out of position.
Actually. They can use that call of the Forge God. He's getting locked down, and Lockeden, he's now the one to be punished. Shockwave connects onto 1. They're looking to chase a big knock up onto the 2 tanks here. The Petrifying Gaze is pretty big. Yike taking tower shots, and Sloth runs him down. This game is just mistake after mistake. Mox is going to take a fair amount of damage in the return here as the piercing arrow also connects onto him.
It just feels like nothing good can happen for Hybrid without them just overstepping and end up falling on their faces. You got the pick on a Lockeden, great. Why are you diving a Cassiopeia with a Petrifying Gaze? How does that ever go well in any situation?
Especially when you know that Infernal Drake is coming up soon. You want to be able to contest that objective.
Well, you would think, but
because they are too off soul, but you know, they're over eager. They go, oh, if we kill Sloth here, we can use the Rift Herald and get a turret.
I think the big thing was they killed Lockeden. They're like, the Soraka's down. But
Herbs is pushing without his team. Flipper's going to look to run him down. Irvin's already used the quickness. That's the pillar. That's everything. Merbs even flashes away now. Axis actually looks to try and turn it around. Khan's made his way forward. The bullet time's getting channeled, but a great block is coming out from Axis. Glacial Prison doesn't quite find anybody here.
The members
massive misplay by Merbs is punished, but it's not punished hard enough. And Shockwave back available to Priskanet. Flipper looks to jump in, and he's going to get those concussive blow stacks stacked up against him as a 2-man knockwave. But that's a big Shockwave onto the backline. Lockeden has to use the Wish early, and he's already so bleeding down low. The ultimate Forge God could snipe him. Not going to find the mark here. And now they're looking to try and get some more damage down, but Sloth comes into the team fight with full HP. Lockeden has to base in the fight over the dragon. Looks to be breaking out. They might just summon the Rift Herald in the mid lane, try and pull that pressure away. As Yike does put that down, has got...
I think you just need to go as Hybrid. Soraka is back in base. She was low HP. I think you just start this. You win this. They don't have the bullet time. They don't have the quickness. They should look to force this in, because if Soraka gets back from base, you've missed your window.
Yeah, well, now the Rift Herald's pushing up in the mid lane. You can see that Hillerød looking to answer this out.
Just go for the dragon now. Start it immediately.
Looks like that will be the call here. Hybrid. It was scrappy.
And it's just Lockeden. You know, I typically, when I think of Lockeden, I think of Ornn. You're not quite positioning in the same way on Ornn as you would on Soraka. And he's just been a little bit off the mark. And essentially, any HP you lose on a Soraka is HP you could be giving over to your allies. Pretty costly overall. Hybrid, they're down in gold. But Kakan getting close to that point where he hits level 12. He gets that extra gold income from self, essentially, on the back of those items. And then he can start handing them out. Blade the Rune King for Merbs can be upgraded. The Rabadons for Priskanet is pretty close to being completed. That's a point where they get a big spike in value. And they can potentially look to contest this one.
Yeah, Mo's picking his red buff up here. That Baron Nashor has now taken to the Rift, and Hybrid, they're on Dragon's Soul Point. 4 minutes is when you expect a big, big fight to break out, and Khan should be starting to hand out some of those ornaments, if not got his own ones by then.
big part of these fights is going to be the ult usage. How effectively they're laid down. The big ones are the bullet time, the petrifying gaze, the shockwave, and obviously that Ornhorn. Right now, Hillerød, they're up in gold. They know they're in a powerful spot, so they're looking to get control of this dragon area. There is a timer on this, though. Hybrid, 3 minutes and 40 until they can potentially get the Infernal Soul, something that could definitely turn things in their favor. So Hillerød likely would want to look for a fight around Baron as soon as possible before that comes up as an option. Before that one's on the cards. This is one of the big flexibilities of having TP in your mid lane as well, is that Sloth will just go in the side lane to answer Kakan and consistently have priority there. You also can't TP as the Ornn when you envision up the Cassiopeia. Yeah, a lot of burst damage coming out.
You got the Death Cap, you've got the Luden's Echo, you've got the damage. Flipper gets chunked out here. It's so hard to catch Yike.
But they have a Soraka, yeah. And ultimately is, it's difficult in these back and forth situations.
So Flipper's looking for something, some kind of opening, some kind of pick. You can see Kakan constantly looks to shove top bot, then move up. Chain of Corruption gets used, the Glacial Prison gets used.
This is big for Hillerød
here. Hillerød, they just need to kite this out now. Ult economy starting to get burnt down here. Now they can maybe look to get control around the Baron area.
They should want to fight here. They've come out massively ahead. Those ults being down means the fight's heavily in their favor.
So you need to watch out for that shockwave and that Call of the Forge.
Look at the Ornn.
Overstepping a little bit. The bullet time's going to come down. They use that pillar. Kakan has now been subjugated. His health bar is low. He's getting melted through. Axis with a fantastic block. Armin trying to get some kind of a CC down. And now the turnaround is going to be enough. Call of the Forge got onto two. A massive two-man knock-up. Chained up there. It's the bounce house being thrown down. And Hybrid just crushed the fight, finding two. Yike, actually, he's still not done. Looking for Moxes. Tries to get this permafrost stacked back up, and they will stun him down with all the concussive blows to work with. Mox is actually able to make his way out, but Flipper, he will be the sacrificial lamb. And that's another kill there picked up for Hybrid. 3 for none in favor of them.
And Hillerød, they had the ult advantage, but they botched their re-engage. They burned everything on the Kakan, didn't even burn his flash. And now it's 2 members up against 5. Hillerød going to try and do their best.
But the Baron is doing a lot of damage. Access is fairly low. Corruption does throw it down. Teleport's already being used. They're trying to turn it onto Moxes. He gets himself a shutdown onto the Orianna. In comes Sloth, though. Look at the miasma. It's fairly big there. Merbs is going to be able to disengage. There's a great Glacial Prison. Will pin them in place. But look at him. He's just being a nuisance right now. Though. And Baron, is stopped for now. And it actually looks like maybe they're looking to start out themselves. Kakan has his own teleport. This game is so back and forth. Merbs is healed up and he's making his way back towards the rift. Kakan about to get that Call of the Forge. God, Yike has still not healed up though. The Subjugate is available. Baron's actually going fairly low here. Call of the Forge God is going to get a fair amount off. Yike sees if he can try and get over that wall in time. Kakan's giving him the vision, giving him the time to work with. Another teleport's coming down. Yike comes in. The Baron is secured, and now the fight is on already. They've got themselves one. They're trying to get another one, but Priskalet is able to move away. Hillerød get the Baron, and now they're looking for Drake.
Good smite coming out from Flipper there. Yike went for the steal, and that could have been it, but unfortunately wasn't able to find it. They did their best effort to keep themselves in that one.
How? This game is so mad.
And now it's a fight for the soul. It does not stop.
It doesn't stop. That's the miasma. That's the quickness. Axis is able to put the wall up, but it's a little bit too late as he dies. The chains will spread as the shockwave goes down. A wish will come down to keep everybody alive, though. And they're just waiting for Yike to rejoin with the team. Axe is dead. 5 versus 4, but the health bars are a little bit already poked down. And now, somehow, Hybrid have to try and continue to go here. Priskalet's moving away. He's not even interested. Infernal has given up. And finally, the teams decide to settle down.
Hillerød find the big advantages. They get the Dragon, deny Soul, and get that Baron. Felt like the extra sustain from Lockington just keeps them going in these long, extended skirmishes. Ultimately, Hybrid, they found favor in that first fight, but they commit onto the Baron when on such low HP. They just ended up getting too low couldn't deal with the threat returning from Hillerød, especially the TP from Sloth. And ultimately, that's the difference between having the Soraka and not having the Soraka. You know, if you picture Hillerød having 5 members up against 2, it doesn't matter how low you are because you can just heal back up to a comfortable spot.
Interesting fact, Priskenet's Luden's Echo got upgraded.
That's a mistake.
It's not the Death Crown, so that's actually a really big mistake.
Yeah, so normally what happens with an Ornn item is it upgrades whichever is first in your inventory. So if you're looking at this and you're thinking, wait, but the Rabadon's is first, so on the spectator, it shows it in,
You don't have time. Call of the Forge God only knocks up 1. Yike looks to chase. Chain of Corruptions are thrown out a little bit wide, but Flipper getting chained onto. The Subjugate keeps him tanky. As the knockup doesn't connect by Kakan, a lot of ults being burnt. Shockwave still available, Glacial Fissure still available, but that is it for Hybrid.
Yeah, and Hybrid, they want the fight. They want to start things off because they don't want to be put in a siege position against this Baron. They want to try and get rid of the buffs, but ultimately the engage wasn't able to come out. The CC couldn't stick on a Flipper. He got a bit too tanky with that Subjugate, and Hillerød are able to push once again.
Max is able to block up a fair amount here. I'm interested to jump in forward. Now they need to be a little careful. Glacial Fissure into Shockwave in a small jungle corridor would be enough just to turn this gold lead back, but Sloth has a massive wave here in the top side. Is he able to take this turret down? Kakan now going to start to get a little bit of damage thrown onto him. Is able to hold his life for the moment, though.
They need to wait for those cooldowns to come up against for the ults.
They got Shockwave. They have
that could be critical. Void Staff as well, picked up by Priskenet.
Priskenet's going to do a lot of damage, even with Flipper now.
Slightly less than if he upgraded his Rabadon.
Slightly less, you are correct. Kakan continuing to take a fair amount of poke, but he's so tanky. He's got his Forge Fire Cape and his Infernal Mask.
Very close to that ult being available again. In fact, across the board, Hybrid have all their ults once more. Both sides do. There's going to be the moment, but the Baron has timed off for Hillerød, so they aren't really able to push more into the base. They haven't cracked it. They did take out all the towers outside. They built up a 5,000 gold lead, but ultimately unable to break the inhibitor towers. Dragon and Baron spawning at about the same time, which is nice for Hybrid, as it means that if they trade, they can potentially get the soul, whereas obviously Hillerød can't. But they are still very much down and behind.
One of the things I've noticed quite a lot from this for Hybrid is they've been playing really well for the most part, but there's been a lot of botched engages, a lot of whiffed ultimates, and it is really catching them out because their team comp is reliant on using those ultimates. When they don't have those ultimates, it's a safety game.
And I think the bigger thing is that Hybrid without ultimates feels really weak because they want to be pressuring these backline carries, because you compare it, you have Priskenet and Merbs. That's 2 carries, and you compare it to Hillerød, where Soraka is essentially functioning as a carry because of the impact she has in team fights. If she's able to sit back and be unthreatened, they just win out naturally. The backline of Hillerød is just performing stronger, and Hybrid's frontline just isn't able to connect onto them. Kakan, you're only level 13.
Yeah, Kakan does need to be careful, but the rest of his team are collapsing around as well.
There's an Infernal map as well, so it makes it a lot easier to move in aggressively into the enemy jungle. A lot more avenues to avoid being put into a choke point, especially up against that Ornn.
Same, though, can be said for the bullet time. Now, Merbs needs to be careful. They're going to try and see if they can keep him alive. But look at the chunk. Look at the bullet time. Moxes finds the kill. And that's going to be another one as Kakan has to flash away. I'm going to be able to jump up the stand beside me. But Merbs, no flash. Why was he stepping up so far?
Yeah, it's good rotation coming out from Hillerød. They want to keep pushing with the wave.
Sloth jumps in forward. Glacial Fissure comes down. A 2-man Shockwave will chunk out a little bit here for the moment as Ermin, he takes a lot of tower shots but holds his life. A turnaround kill has been picked up there. They use the Call of the Forge God, but those carries are alive here. Hillerød have just found everything onto Hybrid in their base, and it's off the back of Merbs mispositioning so badly in that mid lane, and he is getting punished for it. That's going to be the knock up from Kakan, though. They do still have a lot of damage, and they're just going to cut through him. They don't even need to subjugate here. Merbs is back onto the map, and Mox is just going to flash forward. Merbs is respawned, and he's almost going to die as quickly as he's able to come back. They are just going to peel off for the moment, though. Look towards this turret. Try and get something in return.
I think Hillerød need to back off here. Spawns coming through for Axis, Priskenet soon. Go grab that dragon. Reset, get in position for Baron.
Denying Soul again. This was Hybrid's game. They won the team fight at Baron. They get caught out through silly mispositionings, lose Baron, then lose Dragon. Then just before the next Dragon comes up, their potential to get Soul, they lose their opportunity again. They're already on it. There is no smite. They did use the Chilling Smite earlier. Priskanet sees if he can get a steal away. Flipper's going to jump forward. They don't steal the Dragon. 2 over to Hillerød. And that just slows down Hybrid even more. They should be on Elder right now.
But unfortunately, the problem is it's the execution. Hybrid, their front line needs to get on top of these critical members. If you mess up the engage, then all that happens is Hillerød will just heal back up the full. None of the damage sticks. You can't chunk out Mokox or Sloth. You can't get them to low HP and force them out of the fight because the Soraka just stops that from happening. And as a result, if they don't find kills off the initial engage, they don't end up winning the fights. And right now, you see the stopwatch available for Mokox. Sloth has got that Zhonya's and a ton of HP, and the shielding from the Seraphs.
It's scary for either team, though.
But I think Hybrid definitely in a really difficult spot.
Absolutely.
You need to find that angle, that avenue. There's no cleansers available, no QSS for now. So big engage could be it, and this might be the opportunity.
Yeah, but they're just too hesitant to pull that trigger. You've got all your ultimates available. This is your wombo combo moment if you're Hybrid. But Hillerød just walk at them with confidence, with bravado, saying you're not going to do it. And now Kakan, he might just get himself caught out. Look at the damage he's thrown onto him. He is instantly taken down. Now Irvin is going to jump away. The bullet time gets blocked up by the Unbreakable, but Yike already taken a fair amount. Does still have himself a Warmog's armor, so should heal back up nicely here as Flipper looks for a pillar. It's going to catch on to Priskanet for a 2-man shockwave, does connect. A massive ultimate comes down by Sloth though, and now he's looking to run through the team.
They're just dying.
Absolutely no damage here, and that is just a clean wipe for Hillerød. That is a clean triple kill for Flipper, and Hybrid over and over and over again this game. They overstepped, they misstepped, and they were punished. Hillerød with stellar reading onto Hybrid there, and they will get the game.
And I think the lesson here has got to be, if you want to play the scaling game, you need to ban away the Soraka because she was clutch in so many of these fights, just ensuring everyone was just consistently at a healthy HP. Hybrid, it was an uphill battle, but it definitely wasn't a flawless attempt from them. They struggled, they put in their best effort, but Hillerød were just too strong in their composition, didn't have enough weaknesses.
Yeah, ban Soraka, man. It's so irritating to play into. But while the Soraka was, Lockenham was kind of key in keeping his team alive, you've really got to look towards Hybrid there. There were a lot of missteps. Yeah. I like the carries when they were flashless, just kind of pushing up to get, we'll get one more wave and then I'll back off. And it's like, you don't have the vision around you. You're going to get caught out. And, even at the end, Kakan, even though he's not a squishy, once that subjugate goes down, once the miasma's on, you're a squishy. You're not going anywhere and you're just going to get melted through. Yeah, and I think that's the thing. When it gets to those later stages, the tanks just become a little bit irrelevant when there is that subjugate. But on top of that, the damage from the carries is just so much more significant once they have that penetration. And ultimately, it felt like, if you try and focus on the Soraka, you have the Cassiopeia and the Misfortune free hitting. If you try and focus on one of them, they're just not going to die easily because the Soraka's there. As long as they don't all clump into a shockwave, it just felt like Hillerød really struggled to lose that one. And it really looked like Priskanet was trying to put their game on his back. I have to give a good shout out. Like, multiple good shockwaves onto the carries. The problem they had was, by the time those shockwaves had gone, Kakan or Yike were already dead, or even Merbs in some of those cases. So Priskanet would get a big shockwave off, and there was even no damage to follow up, or no front line to make sure that the carries could follow up with that damage.
I think the problem is that Hybrid, when they found a little advantage, they overstepped. Yeah, I think there was definitely an avenue they could win this game. They needed to keep that momentum they had in the mid game and keep it rolling. If they'd picked up that Infernal Soul, if they'd kept a gold lead, but it felt like every time something good happened, they tried to take a bit more than they deserved. We saw that in those fights around the mid lane, and then we saw that with the Baron situation. They win a team fight, and then they opt, okay, do we reset for pressure? No, we're just going to go straight for the Baron. We're low HP, TP comes in, we end up losing massively, and it just ends up backfiring. They ended up getting the Baron as well. And I think it's just Hybrid. I think the composition can function. I do think the Soraka makes it difficult, but ultimately they didn't ride that pressure. And I think sometimes you have to accept the fact that sure, you won a team fight. That doesn't mean you're going to take, the Baron, the Dragon, 6 towers, and the Nexus. You take a little bit, you reset, you get back onto the map faster, and then you keep applying that pressure. And I think Hybrid got a little bit greedy.
Hybrid they took their inch and they tried to take a mile, but they ended up walking backwards a mile, and it cost them heavily in that game. But with that, it means Hillerød are 4-3 here in the Nordic Championship. We're going to cut to a quick break, and when we're back with game 3 of the day, it will be Vipers Inc. taking on Nordic. So don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a second.